Hello, welcome back to the channel. My name is Mateo Chavez-Lewis. If you don't know me, I'm a professional musical theater composer, splitting my time right now between Toronto and New York City. And if you do know me, you will know that every week on the channel I post an update of what I've been writing this week. This week, I've been full up with music rehearsals for a show I've written called Tommy Rhods, which is getting a production in Toronto starting in June of 2024. So stay tuned for information about that. But today I wanted to analyze a song from Tommy Rhods. I have written this song kind of in bits and pieces over the last 4 years, and I want to talk through how the song has developed to the point where it's at now, where I just finished yesterday doing a music rehearsal with the actor who's going to play this role in the show, and I'm so excited, y'all. She is unbelievably talented. Okay, so the song is called Clean. If you know the story of the show at all, I've talked about it on the channel before. The show's called Tommy Rhods, and it's about basically a true mystery, something that actually happened. There were these two boys who both went missing around the same time, young boys, like 5 years old. And then a few years later, one boy reappears, and both the mothers of the missing kids are like convinced that it's their son. The town assumes that it's Tommy Rhods initially, and so he goes to live with the Rhodes family. So this is Tommy Rhodes' mother, Leslie, basically bathing this boy who's come home and trying to convince herself that it actually is her son, even though she isn't quite sure about it. So we start off in this place where, it says tumultuous. It's very obvious that something is not entirely right. And in fact, the dad sings a song right before this called Something Ain't Right. And this kind of turbulent music here, I hope, evokes the sound of that bathwater running as she's bathing him. It sounds like this. And then she gives him these instructions about how she's going to bathe him. Arm up. There's a good boy. I know it's cold. Please, I've got to get you clean. Other arm. Can't you say something, boy? Don't just sit there like a statue. It's unnerving. And there's a line in an earlier scene where she says, Tommy is an extremely physical child. We could never keep him in the tub during bath time. And now we've got this kid who's just sitting there, staring into space, not saying a word. And it's really unnerving to Leslie because this does not seem like something Tommy would do or a way that Tommy would behave. Also, if you want to listen to the full song, there is a demo recording where I sing the whole thing in my screechy falsetto. You can hear the full song and how it sounds at the link in the description. Check that out. So then we get this moment where she goes, what are you looking at? This is the piano part. And there's something about those 2 bars of music that I'm very proud of. It just feels very mysterious but also beautiful at the same time. And then she goes, what do you see? Is this how you remembered your bedroom to be? Tommy, Tommy, Tommy. And because we're going down there, it's supposed to be a D sharp, but we're going down to a D natural instead of Tommy up to the D sharp, which is in the key signature. We're going to a D natural. Tommy, which is not in the key signature. And because it's lower than we expect, there's something very dark about that sound. It feels to me like a doubt. It feels like Tommy, 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 like Tommy, is that really you? Then she starts going through, taking stock of his body and what has happened to him in the time he's been away. There's a cut on your elbow that was never there before. Missing tooth, gosh, you're bruised here when I press it. Is it sore? There's so much mud under your fingernails. Tell me, where have these little hands been? Mama's here, my darling. Mama's gonna wash you clean. Mama's here, my darling. Mama's gonna wash you clean. Mama's here, my darling. Mama's gonna wash you clean. 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 So this is the actual melody of the song. This is kind of an extended verse intro section in 6/8 time, and then we switch time signatures, we switch keys, we switch everything, we switch the feel, and it goes from being tumultuous to being steady. And it's because she's going from bathing him and being like, oh my God, is this really my boy? Now she's like, oh, this poor boy. And she's just looking at the cut on his elbow and the tooth that he's missing and the bruises on him. And so it becomes much softer, much more tender, and much more evocative of the music box theme that we heard earlier in the show when she was holding her real son. So that's the other thing, is that there's this lullaby that she sings to her son early on in the show. It goes, how much do I love my darling, more than all the stars I ever seen. How much do I love my baby boy, more than all the land and the sky and everything in between. And so that melody keeps coming back throughout the show, this like... But because it's not her boy and she's doubting whether or not this is really her son, she's trying to remember that lullaby. She's trying to find it in herself to sing that lullaby to this boy, but she can't quite. So instead, we're hearing the music that evokes that melody, evokes that lullaby. It has the same rhythm, almost, but it's flipped upside down. So instead of going and coming down, it goes and goes up. So it's like this mirror image, negative version of that lullaby that she sang, paired with this motif here from her husband's song, Something Ain't Right. So her husband sees this boy right away and goes, something ain't right about this boy. This doesn't seem like it's my boy. But Leslie, even though she has the same impulse, she cannot bring herself to admit it out loud. So we hear it in her music, even though she's not saying it in her words. In her words, she's saying, Mama's here. But we hear in the music that exact same motif from her husband's song that feels like it's like something ain't right. And the piano part sounds like this. And then we have a repeat of the melody from before. A little shy, a little shorter than the boy we used to know. She comes up with excuses for every difference that she sees in Tommy. She sees that he's shy now. He used to be very rambunctious and energetic, but she finds an excuse. You're just scared. And it lines up on the same beat of the music. So shy, that's what I'm observing. The excuse, you're just scared, lines up on the same beat, the first beat of the 4-bar phrase. Then you're a little shorter than you were before. That's weird. But you're malnourished. And that lands on beat 1 and beat 2 of the second bar of the 4-bar phrase. Exactly the same as shorter lands on beat 1 and beat 2 of the second bar of the 4-bar phrase. So we've got this like difference she's observing. And then the excuse for that difference lined up exactly in the music. Then it gets a little bit darker and more intense. She gets more insistent. No matter what, she is going to wash this kid clean. And she's washing him clean of the dirt that's on him, but she's also washing him clean of his past and of who he may have been before and claiming him as her own. And so that's why we get, all of a sudden, in this melody that we've heard before, it now changes to minor. So instead of what we had before was, Mama's here, my darling, Mama's gonna wash you clean, with that F sharp from the D major key. Now we're getting an F natural from the D minor key. So we get, Mama's here, my darling, Mama's gonna wash you clean. Then we get a bridge. So we've had the same melody repeated twice. It's looking like it's going to be a perfect AABA song, which means we start with a melody, the A section, and then we repeat it. That's another A section. And then we have a new kind of music, a new melody, the B melody, or the B section, that's going to come in here. We can't erase what we've been through. This is a totally separate musical idea. And then we're setting up structurally the expectation that we're going to come back to the A section again. Stay tuned for whether or not that happens. We can't erase what we've been through. There are some scars that won't go away. Right? Totally different than before. It's expansive. She's beginning to sing honestly what she's really thinking. So far, you know, like, you're just scared you're malnourished. This is a little bit of an excuse. She doesn't know how much she really believes it, but this is 100% true. We can't erase what we've been through. And while on the surface it's her comforting her son who's coming home, it's also her coming up with an excuse so that she can morally be okay with the fact that she's turning this boy that isn't hers into hers. Then we get this line where I take the same bath metaphor and I use the term water in this line, which is really a really important line. But if you'll stay this time, we can let the water run. I'll be your mama. Not I am your mama, but I'll be your mama. You need your mama. And I need you too, my son. So this is a little Easter egg here. This melody, that's a melody from a song that she's going to sing at the end of the show, where she talks about taking care of her son after he trips and falls, and how in that one moment, it can totally unravel you. And she sings, when he trips, when he falls. And that's an example of a moment when a son needs his mama. So I'm using that melody there underneath the words, you need your mama. And then she sings, and I need you too. She makes a decision and she says, my son. It's the first time that she's actually called him her son. And we hear that same lullaby motif. It's coming up for the first time, unaltered, not flipped, but the actual original melody. Then we build. She wraps him in a towel. Then she sings, welcome home. How much do I love my darling, more than all the stars he's ever seen. So we go, this is a really cool key change here where we go from, we're in D major initially, and we kind of pass through E flat major, not actually, but this is an A flat over B flat chord, which leads really nicely to E flat major. But instead, we go to E major, which is a semitone higher than you expect. So it's more emotional than you expect. It's surprising. It's a big jump up. And crucially, we are also in E major, which is 2 notes higher than D major, where we were before. And instead of coming back to the original A melody like a traditional AABA song, we flip the expectation, and instead we get the lullaby that she's been kind of trying to sing this whole entire time. Now she successfully sings it. She has made the decision that she is going to commit to believing that this is her son. She's not sure if it is, but who cares? She's going to love him as if he is her own. And she finally gets to sing this lullaby exactly the same as it was initially, with one exception, which is that instead of saying more than all the stars I ever seen, she sings more than all the stars he's ever seen. Basically, more than his past, more than wherever he's been before. I love him enough that where he's been before doesn't matter anymore. And then at the very end, she ends with this A minor chord, which kind of evokes the idea that something scary is going to happen, something that isn't super, something that isn't great is going to come from this decision that she's made. This is not going to go well for her. Look, you're clean. Boom. So that's a huge major turning point in the show. Leslie has now accepted her son, or this boy as her son, and she's going to fight to the ends of the earth in order to keep him. And we're going to watch her do so for the rest of the show. I hope you found this really interesting. If you're in Toronto, come see Tommy Rhods. It is playing at the Red Sandcastle Theatre in June 2024. More information on that is coming very, very soon. Sign up to my mailing list at the link in the description so you don't miss it. And if you're not in Toronto, you can still listen to the entire show. I have a recording of all 100 minutes, no intermission, of the full show along with the script so you can read along. That is available exclusively to my patrons over at Patreon. Go check it out on Patreon. It's me playing all the parts, so if that floats your boat, go have a listen. I hope you'll enjoy it. Please let me know what you think, and I will see you in the next video. Peace out, y'all.